And so his statement, Mike, black belt fraud, confirmed.
I have for sides.
Coach Greg, and if you thought it couldn't get worse for Mr. Mike, things just got
significantly worse.
His PhD thesis, which was in question, well, that's in the past. But now it's all about his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, of which this man just exposed that there's no way he's actually a black belt. Now, you can buy a black belt, you can get it at Walmart, Sears, and so on, but a real black belt, you've got to earn that with skill, of which Mike Israetel does not have. Now, I'm not saying he couldn't fight at perhaps a blue belt, maybe even a purple, but he's not at the level of a black belt.
Dare I say that him and Mr. Moneyberg may be on the same level of black belt expertise in the sport of jiu-jitsu.
And so many of you have heard of Mr. Moneyberg, of which he basically pretended to have a black belt, pretends to be a fighter. And so he's comparing Mike to Mr. Moneyberg, and that is not good. That's a horrendous comparison. He's saying, why don't we watch these two guys go at it? I mean, they both claim to be jiu-jitsu killers, and so why not let them prove it in the ring? You can insert the clip of Mike saying he's a jiu-jitsu killer. It's going to be in this video later on, but he said that in videos. He's a jiu-jitsu killer.
They both share a bulbous, wide physique of being a little, chunky.
Notice how they call Mike Israetel chunky when we all know he has single-digit body fat.
Not only does he suck at bodybuilding, he also sucks at jiu-jitsu, yet proclaims to be very good and has a black belt and all this nonsense.
And so here's the thing. We're only critiquing his skills in jiu-jitsu because he says he's a black belt jiu-jitsu killer. If he just said, hey, I do jiu-jitsu, well, that's cool. But when you claim that you're a killer, that you're amazing, that you have a PhD, that you're going to go pro in bodybuilding, well, you open yourself up for criticism. Remember, Mike is the one that said he's bigger and stronger than Mike Mentzer, that his IQ is above 160, that he could be more proficient in what you do best given one single year.
A bag of shit that gets bigger is just a bigger bag of shit. Still a bag of shit. You know what I mean, mate?
And so essentially, Mike is asking for it. This guy doesn't want to put him down. I mean, I do, but he doesn't. But what happens is when you brag about yourself so much, when you think you're better than everyone else, it's more enjoyable, it's more fun to try to take you down a peg, or perhaps to peg you. But that's not me, that's Best What's.
Me and my boy in a cell, we're just blazing, and the dude's like, hey, get out of your bed, you tripping.
I'm going to break down Mike's game, all right? It's a classic old man, fat guy game.
Mike has no game. I don't care if we're talking about risen up the ladies or fighting in jiu-jitsu, he has no game. He fights people who have no experience, white belts and so on, and he lays down on top of you and tries to squish you. This is his move. He doesn't have any skills. He doesn't have any cardio. He doesn't have any moves. He just does the Mike Israetel way. He lays back and he tries to sit on you. He likes being close to men.
Never slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love.
In the part one, we'll show some more moves to like what he can't do.
Little jiu-jitsu actually used just a lot of size and a lot of strength. No technique, no athletic ability.
No technique, no athletic ability. Do those sound like adjectives to describe a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt killer fighter? I mean, I don't think so.
So the first thing he does is he does the spread eagle on top, all right? He wants to be on top so he can just lay on you and wrap his hands around you, all right? He has no real passing pressure.
Yeah, Mike likes to be on top. He also likes to be on the bottom. He likes to lay there and let other men jump on top of him, and he also likes to reciprocate. And so essentially, that is what he likes about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The close proximity, the contact with other males.
Just an old man's game slash fat man's game, all right?
I mean, an old fat man's game, would you not think that a 41-year-old who's been training jiu-jitsu for over 10 years would have more to it than lying spread eagle on top of someone to try and tire them out? Where's the maneuvers? Where's the skills? Does anyone actually think that Mike had skill? We watched him barely be able to hop a nipper. We've seen that. He couldn't run a half mile in under 5 minutes, a half a mile, not a full mile. And so he can't hop, he can't skip, he can't run. Is there anything he can actually do? I mean, he couldn't even bench press his body weight for 3 friggin' reps. I mean, everything this guy's describing is he has no this, no that, can't do this, and can't do that. You would think with a black belt, he would be describing, hey, he's doing these moves. They're perhaps not as good as I would like to see, but he does have a lot of skill. They're perhaps not the best moves, but he would be at least describing some form of athletic talent that he possesses.
Grab you by the waist and lay on you until you do something stupid, or let you get a triangle, and it's hard to triangle him because he's a literal square.
And so essentially he has no moves, and because he is 240 pounds sometimes, he's a very big man. He's not even 5'6", and so he's a lot of man to try to choke out. He has a neck the size of somebody who has sleep apnea difficulties, probably needs to wear a CPAP, and so very difficult to choke him.
His bottom technique is what I like to call the shitty deep half. All right?
The shitty deep half sounds like something I don't want to be part of. Deep half, shitty, it's not a good kind of a combination.
If you've ever rolled with an older gentleman or a gentleman that is oversized or just really not in tune with the modern game of jiu-jitsu or is lazy, they'll play what is called a deep half.
He's describing Mike's move as what an old fat man does who doesn't understand jiu-jitsu. Does that seem like something that a black belt would be known as? Playing an old fat man's game where you don't even understand jiu-jitsu. How the hell do you become a black belt without understanding elbow-knee connection? Literally one of, if not the most fundamental part of guard retention that brand new white belts learn. This is wild. It's Mr. Mike, not Dr. Mike. Send this to Greg Doucette. Mike is pretty awful at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, would you describe a black belt as pretty awful? Like, if he had just said, you know, I've only been training for a year and you watched him do this, you'd say, well, it's only been a year. Give him a break. Cut him some slack. This is 10 plus years of training consistently to try and earn a black belt. Some gyms just give out black belts for time put in, but from the rolls I've seen, he looks like a blue belt. And so, in case you don't know anything about jiu-jitsu, they go in the following order: white, blue, purple, brown, black. And there's even belts ahead of that for legends of the sport and so on. But when you're black, you have mastery. You've mastered it. In other words, you have your PhD in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's literally better than a master's. In white belts, you're just learning not to get tapped. And in blue, you're learning to control and submit. Learning to control and submit. He just said he's about a blue. Purple, refining timing and creativity. Brown, near black, super technical. But with black, you have mastery. And so blue, intermediate, can attack and defend with purpose, understand guard and submissions. With brown, which is 2 belts up from that, near expert, highly technical, sharp transitions, efficient defense. And with black, mastery of fundamentals and strategy, can teach effectively. And so with a blue belt, you know, 2 or 3 years of consistent training, this is what many people can aspire to be. It's not that hard. But with black, you're looking at 8 to 12 years of consistent training with purpose. Remember, this would be at a level where you could teach the skills that you understand to a group of individuals.
The deep half guard works on those guys, all right? It works on your day one jiu-jitsu guys. It works on guys that have 0 hip mobility.
And so Mike Israetel, he's fighting Johnny Shreve.
I'm bigger and stronger than Mike Menzer. That's it. Yeah. So
Bag of shit.
Who has no experience. He's a beginner, a learning white belt. He has no defense whatsoever, no guard. He doesn't know what he's doing. And so Mike can have his way with them, yet when they literally were fighting together, it took him 3.5 minutes to get him to do a tap. A black belt should be able to do this in a matter of 30 seconds or less. Hey, if he wants to give him a chance, hey, take your time, perhaps a minute, but not 3.5. I guess the saving grace for Mike is that it probably took longer than 3.5 years to get a black belt. Coach Greg Eating Good, I hope he sees this. Eventually, you'll notice these type of guys. Lots of talking about how badass they are that put others down. Sooner or later, they'll all just Jason Blaha. I saw the guard pulls a while ago and I never respected his, at the time, brown belt ever since. Mr. Mike black belt fraud confirmed. And so even when he was a brown belt, bro said, this is not a brown belt. This is not even close. And so his statement, black belt fraud confirmed.
A comment, I guess the best way is to just, swing yourself up and wrestle up. But that takes way too much energy for Dr. Mike to do, okay? That would require actually having maybe a stand-up game.
And so Mike, he has no stand-up game. He can't get up from sitting to standing in one fluid motion. How could that possibly be a black belt? Now remember, I'm a physical education instructor. I taught kids. Grade primary, we would do these skills. Hey, let's all stand up quickly from sitting down. No arms, no nothing. The primary kids could do it. We taught them the basics. Hop, skip, and run. Now, we're not jiu-jitsu fighters in grade primary, but we do have basic skills. We know how to move our bodies.
I don't know who gets a black belt and doesn't know basic wrestling to just, stand up with the single leg.
And so he says, look, if you get a black belt, you would understand some few basic skills related to wrestling. They would teach you not to make stupid moves to give you a disadvantage.
Old men and fat people love to just turtle because A, technically your guard hasn't been passed. B, it's hard to do anything when a guy who's kind of strong just balls up.
And so notice, Mike's opponent weighs close to 100 pounds less than him. It's not even close. They're not in the same weight class. And so if you actually have a brown or a black belt and you're fighting someone who's perhaps 75 pounds smaller than you, unless they're a world champion black belt, how are you losing? How? How does this make sense?
Right. It is hard to do anything when a guy just shells up. I call it the armadillo guard. There's turtle and then there's armadillo.
And so essentially he's saying Mike Israetel is like an armadillo. He's so big that it's very difficult to do anything to him. He just turtles up and what can you do? His neck's too big, his body's too big, you can't wrap around, you can't get hooks in, you can't do anything.
For Dr. Mike's sake, I hope he trains. Because this guy just puts a clinic on Dr. Mike, okay? You call yourself a black belt. I hope this guy was a black belt because he just did whatever he wanted with Dr. Mike.
Now, I was at this event.
You slapped him in the face!
And all of us were shocked. We didn't know what was going on. We thought, shouldn't Mike at least be trying to do something? And so my personal theory is this. Mike didn't want to expose how bad he really was, and so he basically got into a match, laid on his back, and embarrassed himself on purpose in order to ensure that no one could judge him based on his skills. Because if he had to try to beat this opponent, who was several belts below him, it would have been bad because he would have been exposed. And so why not just lay on your back and cry and get out of breath? And make us all wonder what is wrong with Dr. Mike. I mean, even I had to compete in this event. 0 days experience. Never tried ever before and lost in an arm bar. You guys, this is Coach Greg. Do you really think I want to do Brazilian Jiu-jitsu against people that know what they're doing? Of course not. But yet, at least I tried. Why couldn't Mike try? Because he didn't want to expose his weaknesses.
He literally laid flat on his back and did nothing, just clinched up. That is not displaying the art to somebody who maybe doesn't do the art. It'd be like, well, this jiu-jitsu shit sucks.
I mean, isn't that doing a disservice to Brazilian jiu-jitsu? Hey, you're watching this video, you're really excited, you're a fan of the sport, you've been training for years, and you want to watch him, and all he does is lay back and cry and get submitted. I mean, to me, that's disrespectful. It's kind of like if somebody goes to a bodybuilding competition and they don't diet for one day. They don't get a tan and they stand up on stage and they just do a dance and they yell, scream, and shout and embarrass themselves. Why did you do that? I mean, it's not respectful to the other athletes who put in some work. Now, if you tried your best, you dieted for 4 months and you showed up out of shape, at least you tried. Mike did not try. And so I don't care if he loses. Hey, I did my best and I lost to a better opponent. No problem. How is that bad? Hey, I did my best. I wrote my PhD thesis. There's 200 mistakes. I did my best and it sucked. We're moving on. Just own your weaknesses. You don't have to be the best at everything. I suck at memory. I can't remember anyone's names. It's embarrassing, but at least I admit it. And so what do? You do your best. All you can ask of someone is that they try and they do their best. And if they do, that's all I want. That's all I've ever wanted. When I was a school teacher, you think I cared if they got 100 on a test? I don't care. I just want you to try. In sports, try. Do your best. Try. There's nothing more you can ask for. You don't need to be the best at something. You just need to give it what you got.